Okay, I am in downtown, I won't say where, but it is in Virginia. And I was given a couple of addresses to look into, and one of them is right here, that were supposed to be restaurants, and it is obviously not. And while I was sitting here, I looked across the street and I noticed that there was a Hell's Kitchen pizzeria opening up, a grand opening here. And I thought that was odd, and one of the reasons I think it's odd is because we found, when we were investigating, when Pizzagate came out, we located a bunch of Hell's Kitchens in Christchurch, New Zealand. Now, why is Christchurch, New Zealand important? Well, Christchurch, New Zealand is the place where John Kerry was on election day, or right after election day. He had made a trip to Antarctica, which in and of itself, you guys can research. There's a lot of things going on in Antarctica. And he stopped over in Christchurch, and this was on election day. So it was very odd for him to make a trip to Antarctica. In and of itself, it's odd. But what's even odder is to make it on election day in 2016, as all the crisis and stuff was going on in our country. You would think the guy that's, I think he's third or fourth in line to secession, would want to be in our country, especially on election day. And he was not. And he was not even in a country or a place that's considered safe usually. He was in Antarctica. Why? That's a good question. People should research and try to find out. But where he did go right after that was to Christchurch, New Zealand. And what's interesting about Christchurch, New Zealand, is that we had located all of these pizza restaurants called Hell's Kitchen Pizza. And at all these pizza restaurants are all these very weird, strange, satanic menus, and also these children's clubs called Satan's Little Helpers. And all these pictures of children with their eyes darkened out underneath, kind of hollowed out, which is a sign of child abuse. And it's called panda syndrome. So that was very interesting, and they were littered all over Christchurch. And another thing interesting about Christchurch is that when John Kerry was there that night, a massive earthquake struck that city, as had never done before. Right where he was the epicenter. So all these facts were very interesting to us, and we were putting together kind of this puzzle piece. And it also reminded us of another place called Christchurch Primary in the UK. And this involved the Hampstead whistleblower kids. And these children went to a school called Christchurch Primary. Get this thing out of the way. These kids went to a school called Christchurch Primary, and they were from the area of Hampstead, UK, and they came out reporting all kinds of activities that sounded very much like MK Ultra, and there are still videos out there of them to this day, where they were abused, and mind control, hypnosis, and ritual abuse involved in this primary school at Christchurch Primary. So their interviews with the police were actually leaked online because their mother and people were livid, and there was a lot of protesting in the UK over this. And the government shut it down and actually took the children away from the mother who was reporting it. And the police interviews were leaked. And these little children, which were, I think, 6 and 8, or 7 and 8, 7 and 9, sister and brother, gave incredibly detailed interviews of horrific things that had happened to them and some of their schoolmates at this location. And what was interesting about this was their father was an actor who acts over there, but also out of Hollywood, and he was connected to the Clinton Foundation in Haiti. So all of those pieces were put together, and these interviews were leaked, and the children's medical examinations were leaked that showed they had been the victims of abuse in an MK Ultra type style, things I've talked about before. So I kind of wanted to bring all this full circle. It's a lot of information. You guys can look into it. It was on Vote. But I'm going to go into Hell's Kitchen Pizzeria over here. and take a little look and see maybe if they're connected to the franchise in New Zealand or what's going on. It is their grand opening, so maybe it's just a great pizzeria, but you know, it's an interesting name. So I'm gonna go check it out, and then I will give a report afterwards.